So let's apply a video transition. So you click video transition, and then you can notice that there's a lot of options. So for the purpose of today's tutorial, let's pick a simple one, which is a blur dissolve. So what you do is you just click the blur dissolve, and then you just drop it in between the two video layers and just let it go. So once you've let go of the transitions, and then you notice that now there's a tiny white box in between the two clips. That represents the blur dissolve effect. So when you play it, let's just bring the playhead to slightly before, and then let's hit spacebar to let it play.
So this really document to archive all these, not just for the...
You see that? Let's see that one more time. The blur dissolve.
So this really document to archive all these, not just for the...
Okay, another one that we normally use is something called cross dissolve. So cross dissolve, it just means that it just blends into each other. So how does it look like?
And so this really document to archive all these, not just for the...
So that's how cross dissolve looks like. But normally I wouldn't recommend cross dissolve for similar shots, because otherwise if you apply this, similarly framed shots, because it will just looks like the person has morphed into something else, which is not really that nice to see lah. So for the purpose of this demonstration, we shall just use blur dissolve. Okay, so let's say that you think that the effect is too slow or too fast. So how do you change the duration of the transition effect? So again, let's go over to the white box, which represents the effect. Okay, let's select it, and then you mouse over to the edge of the white box. Now you notice that the icon has changed to this two arrows pointing left and right. So once that's done, you just click. To lengthen, you just drag it further apart from the center, like so, so that the effect is more slower.
So this really document to archive all these, not just for the...
Okay, and then let's do the opposite. Let's quicken the effect, the transition.
Document to archive all.
Yes. So according to your video needs and requirements, so you might, and editing style, you might want to take this into consideration when you are editing your videos. You'll notice that you'll be spoiled for choice when it comes to all these video transitions. So this one is just a recommendation from our team to you when you're doing your own productions. There's a lot of options to choose from, like band wide, clock wide, and oval iris, eye iris. Sounds very flashy, right? But for our kind of corporate videos and things like that, most frequently we just use the simple blur dissolve and cross dissolve. Or sometimes if you even want to fade to black, you can just use dip to color dissolve. Because do note that transitions ought to be used tastefully lah. So depends on the kind and tone or feel of the videos that you're producing. Because some transitions, when you use it in your video, it can appear quite out of place, and frankly speaking, it looks quite outlandish and not so nice lah, not so professional lah. So as far as transitions goes, we just recommend you to use the safe ones: blur, dissolve, and cross dissolve, and dip to color dissolve lah. So that's just something to bear in mind when you are editing videos and doing transitions between your videos. Okay, so far until now, is there any questions? Okay, we have one question. Kenneth Wong, would V2 take priority over V1 when editing? The answer is yes, because how this thing works is the concept of layering. So the topmost layer will always be the ones that will appear. Okay, Faisal asks, can the transition effects be used between V1 and V2? Well, currently as it is, you can't use the transition between V1 and V2. For example, if you want it to transition like that, right, you have to bring it down because they all need to be on the same layer for the transitions to take effect.
The transition effects can only be used between clips of the same layer. So you can only use transitions between clips in V1 itself or V2 itself. You cannot combine from V1 to V2. An archivist asks what's green versus blue. Green is the audio clips and blue is the video clips. So the top part of Hafi's screen, the timeline, the blue one is video or photos, and the green one is audio. So V1 and V2 is video 1, video 2. A1, A2 is audio 1, audio 2.
Okay, also I forgot to mention earlier on, just now someone asked the question about, I think it was Kenneth, asking something about the audio. When you play this video and then the V2's audio will play at the same time as the V1's audio. So another way to get rid of, another way to stop this problem, right? You can mouse over to the V2 audio, the cutaways, this one, so that you notice that both the V2 and A2 layers are selected, right? So instead of muting the entire layer by itself, you can right click, this window will pop up, and then you notice that there's this option called link clips. If you click it, now these two clips are independent of each other. So now that they're independent of each other, right, you can simply click the audio layer of the audio layer of V2, the cutaways, and then you can just click delete, and then it'll be gone. That's another way as well. Okay, Kenneth asks, how do you uncut a clip if you made a mistake? You can just undo. For Mac, it's Command Z. I believe it's Control Z on Windows.
Yeah, it should be the same. Yeah, it should be Control Z.
So if you realize I make mistake, immediately undo.